最強の超合機か裁縫ボール。
What's up guys, Lucci back with a One Piece Bounty Rush video, and I'm making this video for Brawl 8. Everybody know Brawl 8 is coming up, and not all of us have Rogers, so you need a counter or a strategy to win against Rogers. So I'm gonna start with the lock characters. I'm gonna start with Garp, the counter to Roger himself. Garp is an amazing take who can also give a lot of damage to Rogers. You can also guard your teammates that have high bounties. He also can take away Roger's skills, which is very useful. So you want to basically try to use your skill 1, a World of Pain, nullify stagger effect, deals 597 damage, super useful against Rogers in Brawl 8 since everybody depends on skills. Skill 2, Giant Cannonball, a long range knockback effect, helps catch enemies that's trying to run away or just far away. Next on the list, we're going to go with Whitebeard. Whitebeard is super useful with the trimmer for enemies. He also can use his skill at a long range to either finish off enemies or trimmer enemies as well. So for the skill 1, drop your valuables and leave. It does 726 damage, nullifies stagger. Skill 2, are you trying to steal my family? Causes 374 damage and also does trimmer. So like I said, that is super useful in Brawl 8, especially against Rogers. Alright, next on the list is going to be Mace, aka Arco, whatever you want to call him. He's a great support for protecting enemies and healing them. Make sure you position your shield right and strategically. You may even have to block enemies from coming from a certain area depending on what map it is on Brawl 8. So everything is situational, so you never know what you need to do. Now for skill 1, I won't let you take his life. Recovers 387 HP, and the shield HP is 150% of your max HP. Now for skill 2, Crossfire, it's a charge attack that does 474 damage when not fully charged and 916 damage when fully charged and has nice range. Next on the list we have got Usopp. He's a great counter for Rogers and Odin's with his long range attacks and his basics follow enemies. He can snipe enemies from the other side of the map. Now for Skull Blast Grass, it does 669 damage with the knockback effect and recovers 110 health. Now for skill 2, Bagworm, deals 295 damage, ignores defense and stun enemies. So you have to be careful with using that against Rogers. Next on the list we have Koala. Koala is situational for you and your teammates. She has quick basic attacks and fast skills that hit pretty hard. If you can land the skills, you can do a lot of damage to Odin's and Rogers. Now for Fishman Karate skill 1, it does 594 damage with knockback effect. You can use that to protect your teammates that have high bounties. In their skill 2, Revolutionary Army, a long range attack that deals 301 damage and can be useful for Trimmer and Odin's and Rogers. Alright, that's it for the lock list. Now let's get to the unlock list. First on the list is going to be former Navy Admiral Kuzin. Kuzin, if you can land the freezes on Rogers, can be very useful. Hopefully your teammates don't mess it up, because he can do a lot of damage to Rogers in a free state, and you can also protect your teammates with the freezes. Now for his skill 1, Ice Age, it deals 40 damage per hit and does 528 damage when not fully charged and 729 when fully charged. For skill 2, Pheasant Peacock, long range attack deals 566 damage with a 100% chance to freeze the enemy. So like I said, you can push by saving your teammates or KO on the enemy. Next is going to be Rayleigh. Rayleigh is awesome for Brawl 8. He can sometimes one-shot Rogers with skill 1, even if he perfect dodges, and give Roger the defense buff. Now for skill 2, a mid-range attack that deals 754 damage, nullifies stagger. This skill is good, swift, and fast, and can kill enemies from afar, so it's super useful. Also, nullifies stagger and reduces speed by 10%. Next on the list is going to be one of the Emperors of the Sea, Kaido. Kaido is situational. He's also super good for Brawl at times. He can one-shot Roger sometimes with skill 1, and skill 2 can make him super tanky and hit hard, but he's not able to dodge when he's in a skill 2 state. Skill 1 does 849 damage. You want to typically say that for Roger, and then skill 2 increases your attack and defense by 100%. So that's useful at times. Next on the list is going to be Katakuri. Katakuri is a great defender to protect your teammates with the high bounties. You're going to want to use your skill 2 only on enemies that's not Roger, unless you need to use it on Roger to heal up and to just basically protect your teammates. You want to mainly use your skill 1. Let's do 52 damage first step, 681 on the second step, and 759 on the third step on the Rogers. And like I said, with the skill 2, you want to use that, protect your teammates, and heal up when needed. Try to use 1-2 taps to bait the dodges, and then use your skills. Next on the list, we have Odin. Odin is very useful against Rogers because his skill 1, which is the invincibility skill, you can knock back Roger out of his skill 2. Or if you use skill 1 anytime and in time, you can avoid getting commissary and knock back Roger as well. So this one is your bread and butter, deals 576 damage, and for skill 2 deals 364 damage, and then on the second step deals 496 damage. Be careful using that because it gives Roger a defense buff. Next on the list we have Mihawk. Mihawk is great for protecting your teammates and being aggressive as well. His attacks can go through walls and stuff like that. It does 632 damage when not fully charged and 791 damage on the skill 1 when fully charged. The skill 2 deals 422 damage, reduced defense by 10% for 20 seconds, and has a knockback effect, so that's real great for protecting your teammates. Next on the list we have Ivankov. Ivankov is a great support for your team because he can give debuffs to Roger and other enemies as well. Also, he has extra lives and a knockback effect, so it's great for helping to protect teammates as well with high bounties. It deals 546 damage, has a hormone effect for the debuff, which lasts about 20 seconds on the skill 1. Skill 2, Hellwink, deals 758 damage with the knockback effect and nullifies stagger, so super useful. Next on the list is going to be Luffy. Luffy is a great support for your team because you can do recovery block with skill 1. That's basically your bread and butter. So you can stop Rogers and other enemies from healing up. And you also have crit chance when your teammates, get KO'd. So skill 1 deals 377 damage, reduce defense by 10%, lasts for 20 seconds, and also does recovery block. And for skill 2, Chambers and Fire Fist Pistol, Red Hawk, deals 807 damage, pulls the enemies towards you, and also causes stun, so be careful using that on Rogers. For the next one, is going to be the old Brawl 8 King itself, Shanks. Shanks skill 1 and skill 2 is still very useful, and may be able to still one-shot Rogers as well. So, make sure you time your skill 1. Deals 824 damage when successful and recovers 150 health. So make sure you time that against Rogers perfectly. And then for skill 2, 754 damage and deals 10% defense debuff. So make sure you try to catch enemies off guard with the skill 2. Next on the list we have EX Big Mom. EX Big Mom is good support for your team. For one, she can shock the enemies with the skill 1, and you can also sometimes avoid the commissary with skill 1. It deals a chance of shock, does 314 damage on step 2, and deals 142 damage each shock hit. Now for skill 2, deals 672 damage when not charged, 918 when fully charged with the knockback effect. Next on the list is going to be Bull Hancock. Bull Hancock is similar to how Kuzin is. You know, if your teammates don't mess it up, she can be very useful for the team with the chance of entrance. So turns them into stone and does a lot of damage with her skills and basic attacks, and she can heal right back up when they're in trance. For skill 1, it's a close range attack that deals 97 damage on step 1, 119 on the second, and 167 on the third. So nice skill right there. And for skill 2, does 732 damage and reduce speed by 20%. I'm sorry, 30%. Next on the list is going to be Magellan. Magellan is a good support to protect your teammates, especially with the poison. And your bread and butter is going to be your skill 1. Make sure you watch out for Odins and Rogers. Try to time your skills and your dodges. The skill 1, Venom Demon, a long range area attack with the knockback effect and chance of poison. This is going to be the one that you want to stick with when enemies are pushing your teammates. It deals 615 damage on the first step with the knockback, and also deals 120 damage each poison hit. Next on the list we have Tanky Frankie. Tanky Frankie is a good support for your team. He can tank and he can also be aggressive. So you want to kind of stick with your teammates that have high bounties to protect them. Make sure you dodge from Rogers and Odin's skills, and try to use your skill 1 from a nice distance. It deals 772 damage, nullifies stagger. Also build up your damage to get more damage from the skill 1. Now for skill 2, you want to kind of use this to create space or protect your teammates. A mid-range attack that nullifies stagger. 154 damage on the first step and 461 on the second step. So super useful. Next on the list we have Snake Man. Snake Man is very useful in Brawl 8 from his long range basic attacks and also his skills. So you want to create space and bait out dodges, then use your skill 2. Skill 1 is good for support for protecting teammates with the stagger on the ground, which is skill 1. Deals 73 damage 10 times in total, that's about 730 damage. Great skill to go on defense. Now let's go to skill 2. Skill 2, King Cobra. Deals 728 damage with the knockback effect. Reduce the attack by 10%. So that's useful against Rogers as well. Next on the list we have the cold-blooded killer himself, CP0 Lucci. With Lucci, you want to play him more as like a cat stalking his prey. Now what I mean by that is catch people off guard with the skill 2 and use your skill 1 from a distance. 2-tap enemies to get more combos, try to get more damage. And then the skill 1, a long range attack that knockbacks enemies and does a speed debuff, 314 damage on the first step, or deals 357 damage with the chance of a flame. For skill 2, that's your your bread and butter. It does 566 damage on the first step and deals 385 on the second step with a chance to stun, or deals 509 damage with the knockback effect. Next is going to be Dressrosa Law. Dressrosa Law is super useful in Brawl 8 as support. The skill 1 does a lot of damage. It do the heart stolen effect, which staggers the enemies, so that can help you and your teammates finish them off as well. And also from his counter when successful does 728 damage and also chance of shock. So make sure you time those counters perfectly, and it can do massive damage to Rogers and Odin. Next on the list we have Blackbeard, the original Cancer himself. Blackbeard is a good support to help defend your teammates and do a lot of damage to Rogers, Odins, and Devil Fruit users. Skill 1 deals 308 damage and increase 200% against Devil Fruit users, so save that for Devil Fruit users. Now for skill 2, deals 260 damage 5 times on the first step and 602 damage on the second step. Save that for the Rogers or the enemies with high bounties. Next we have Marco. Marco is a good support for your team because you can heal the teammates who have the high bounties if they have low health or take damage or whatever. And also he can do massive damage with the skill 1 to enemies who can nullify stagger. So try to save your skill 1, like I said, to heal the teammates. It recovers 292, and try not to waste it. Just unless you need to escape, always try to save it to heal your teammates. And then skill 2 deals 527 damage steps 1 through 3 and do a speed debuff by 10%. For the next one, we're gonna go with Luffy's brother Sabo. Sabo is a good support because he nullifies effects when he's in the mirror state, and he also deals a lot of damage in the mirror state with the crit. But you have to be careful using that against Rogers. You mainly want to use the skill 2. It deals 660 damage, which is a close range attack, so try to bait out the Rogers dive and then use the skill 2. The next one is going to be Kiamon. Kiamon basic attacks are really fast, so it's super useful to sometimes out combo Odin's, and you may be able to out combo a Roger as well. And you also have your counter, so you time your counters. That's like your bread and butter as well. And then you also have the skill 2 as well, which dashes forward and deals massive damage. The counter does 246 damage and does a knockback effect and reduces defense by 20%. And then the skill 2 deals 751 damage with a knockback effect. So super useful for defending and being aggressive. Alright, second to last is going to be Caesar. Caesar is a great defender and support for your team to protect your teammates with the high bounty. Smileys can help protect the lane from any attacks, like if they're pushing up, unless they perfect dodge it. And then the skill 1 does 8% damage of the max HP of the enemy, so it does massive damage to them. And the poison will also be taking their health as well, so it shreds through them. So just try to always protect your teammates with the high bounties. And if they get hit by the Smiley, it does 615 damage and a knockback effect, and does 1.15% per second. Last but not least, we have Dressrosa Zoro. This guy is a train wreck. He absolutely destroys everything that's in his path. His skill 1 does 555 damage, also gives you crit boost, and reduces defense by 30%. So this right here is your bread and butter against the Rogers. Also, he has an extra long range attack that does 777 damage, so that will help you snipe the enemies that's trying to get away, or snipe enemies that have low health that might have high bounties. Hopefully this video will help some of you guys that's like me that don't have Roger and you want to push for the top rankings to get those traits. So if it helped you, hit the like button for me, it'll help me out. And if you're new, hit the subscribe button for future content. And I appreciate you like always, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.